Necharak Herakuty, Nutatera Herakuty, Anuk Herakuty. Hatet Unk Uchasanab. Peace, my sisters and brothers. Hold on 1 second. All right. All right, so today we're going to do a video on Herakuty, the warrior. But first, I'd like to give thanks and praise to my ancestors, teachers, and guides, those who are not only here, but those on the other side. For I couldn't have done it without you. Hatepu, Nebu, Tuau, Ntrrr. Man, it's a beautiful day today, family. You know, the sun's out, Seattle. It's got some of the most breathable air you're going to ever experience in the whole country. Now, it is getting kind of crazy down here, though, but that's another story for another day. Anyway, Herakuty. Herakuty is also known as Haru of the Two Horizons. He is a warrior. Now, we can also see that our ancestors were warriors also. So when we observe the Palette of Narmer, it shows him standing over the captive Asiatic invaders with basically they're on their knees and they got their hands bound, and it's showing him standing over them with a mace. He's about to take them out with that mace. It is believed by many that it was he, Narmer, who ran the invaders out and unified the two lands of Upper and Lower Kemet. Thus, he became the one that we would identify in so many ways as a Haru Samaitawi, Haru, unifier of the two lands. So Herakuty dealt with soldiers, warriors, law enforcement, and justice, and so on. And it is the warrior spirit that is awakened within every individual, in which allows us to have the motivation and drive to overcome our obstacles, as well as our opponents. Also, the ability to fight and fend off attackers. Herukhuti suggests that our ancestors understood that there was a time to fight and defend ourselves when under attack. Herakuty, according to ancient Cometian mythology, was an aspect of Ra, who becomes victorious and fights and wards off Apep, the force of darkness. Thus, Herakuty fighting off Apep. Interestingly enough, in a company of the nine Neteru, we also see that there is Set, who is assisting Herakuty in fighting off Apep. Now, Set is often showing Haru, the falcon-headed deity, how to aim and shoot an arrow. So we see that Set is often portrayed as negative, but he is necessary for the evolution of a person as they are going on their spiritual journey. You need to come across obstacles to make you stronger, tougher, ready for battle. And this is where Herakuty, the warrior, comes into play. So when one has fully embraced equilibrium within themselves, she or he is able to neutralize the disagreeable aspects of being, and Set becomes an ally as opposed to our nemesis. Herakuty also deals with the art of blacksmithing and metallurgy. He carries the twin blades representing the ability to cut through falsehood and discriminate when necessary, or should I say discriminate. It is that discriminatory attribute of Herakuty which is necessary for one to be able to overcome all enemies, not just around them, but also within them, energetically, removing them or cutting them out on an intellectual and emotional level. Herakuty deals with the power of justice, and he is also the part of ourselves that we call justice. Upon ourselves, when we handle situations incorrectly, we call justice upon ourselves. And this is to straighten us out so that we will know better next time so we do not repeat the same mistakes again. We are here to understand that there are corrective forces in the place in what we call nature and in the universe. So we learn how to be in harmony with such forces. And when we do things like pollute the water or the land and destroy the environment, we will see that our ecosystem is affected. And eventually, it will take us to have to correct it. Because if we don't, it will end up affecting our health. in shortening our lifespan. So the commission and indigenous way of law enforcement was not so much that it was revenge and was taken upon the transgressors, but a corrective action would be utilized in which the transgressor would be put on a program of spiritual rehabilitation instead of being locked up for the rest of their lives. However, there was times when justice had to be served in ways that may have been a little bit harsh, but it is what it is. Human society. We always have reasons that we must improve and develop because every civilization has its strong points, and as time goes on, that civilization may fall into aspects where there's degeneracy here and there, right? And this is why there's always the idea of balance, ma'at, and restoring ma'at wherever we become unfocused and imbalanced. So, in ancient Commission tradition, that is, when it was on its highest level, there would be no death penalty except the death of self destructive behavior. And this is like therapy, in which the behavior would be corrected through a holistic cultivation of one's spirit. After such rehabilitation, they're accepted back into society, so once again, they can continue to contribute to the growth of such said society. However, we look at society today, and what we see is we see the house judging of the people who are in a situation where they may be downtrodden. In other words, there are the haves judging the have nots and so forth, not taking into account that people who tend not to have these things or not to have a lot, they have issues like hunger and psychological traumas, among other things, that might cause them to act out in certain circumstances. Many times, criminal behavior is a result of one not knowing how to get the resources that they may actually have access to if it was made available to them, or if they were educated in a certain way. But sometimes such resources have been hidden from the individual who act as a criminal as a result of. So these things are taken into account when it comes to divine enforcement or enforcement of such laws in human law. It's human law, but there's also universal law. When humans' laws tend not to be in harmony with Ma'at, then you will see corruption in the land. When people feel like they're being oppressed, they tend to be resisted in ways that may be unhealthy, not so much for the oppressor, but also for themselves. But as far as they're concerned, they are resisting. However, we live according to natural law in which we're in harmony with Ma'at. Then we will see that there's more peace and harmony, not just within the individual, but within society itself. So we have the ability to connect with the environment and bring about the proper changes. Herakuty deals with the forging of metals. So when we look at the metaphor of how a sword is forged, it starts out as a shapeless piece of iron. It is melted down or heated to extreme temperatures, beaten and then cooled off, and then it's beaten and cooled off again until eventually it becomes a sharp blade. And this is the activity of Herakuty. This is the activity of the shaping of character as a metaphor. So each and every one of us are here to sharpen our own swords and use that sword to remove falsehood and cut ourselves away from victimhood and the desire to have power over others, as well as focus on mainly revenge. The Yoruba equivalent to Herakuty is Ogun, and Ogun deals with that aspect of us that awakens courage within us, all the way from the time where we're young, when you go to be middle age, and that aspect that is discerning when we get older. Herakuty is within us, according to the book by Shechem, the Medu Netter. He is in sphere 5. Okay, that's that aspect that is willing to continue to push forward and enforce Ma'at, the enforcer of divine truth, law, order, justice, reciprocity, and harmony. So to push forward even in the face of fear, this is courage. The true definition of courage is not that you don't have fear, but you continue to move forward in the face of fear, becoming victorious and winning our inner battles. The concept of war is an expression of those who are not satisfied and wish to bring about change. And there are always different ways of bringing about this change, even without bloodshed. This can happen. In Sun Tzu's Art of War, we learn that the best way to win a war is before it has actually begun. One way to do that is to see yourself in a scenario while facing challenges and overcoming them in the most strategic way. And this is to be contemplated upon without allowing yourself to be lost in anger, pride, vanity, and arrogance, but to observe and figure out a strategy of how to overcome not just your enemy in the form of people, but obstacles and even situations you find yourself in due to bad decisions that you may have made in the past. Another thing to be considered is the martial arts. And the purpose of martial arts is not only self defense, but also developing the power to resist the need to attack others, restraint, because self control is actually superior to the desire to control others. What is superior to self defense is self control. And martial arts is used to learn how to develop not only your physical and mental power, but your emotional strength. So, this also includes sharpening our character, and various martial arts disciplines teach students that are often in conflict that you have no time to put a whole lot of thinking during an attack or when it comes to defense. In fact, in higher levels of the martial arts, students and practitioners learn that cutting off the thought process allows one to move quicker and make less mistakes by being in the present moment. It is similar method to what Shechem or Shechem called the Minab meditation. Minab means still heart. So this is a process in which one ignores their thoughts in meditation or as they perform their day-to-day activities. A lot of times, people may attempt to stop invasive thoughts by resisting them. However, it's even more effective to just ignore them and let them pass on by. In some martial arts, one learns to move and act without thinking, without the mind getting in the way. The whole activity is based on being, and Herakuty carries two blades symbolic of the ability to cut off the intellect as well as the emotions and be available at the present moment without letting the thought process be taken over by anger or blurred vision. And being in a moment is practiced, emphasized in traditions called Taoism, according to Chinese philosophy. Herakuty is seen in another expression called Haru Behutet, and Behutet is said to have been able to defeat the armies of Set. Herakuty, Haru, of the two horizons is his name. These two horizons not only represent an aspect of location in the sky or an astronomical phase, but also the two horizons in the sense of being balanced within the two brain hemispheres of the left and the right. The warrior, the soldier, the martial artist all learn how to balance these hemispheres in order to overcome their opponent or overcome this situation in battle. This is important for the student to learn how to master their emotions and how to overcome fear when it comes to take care of a whole situation. This is true not only for work in the classroom, where if you're a student, but on the job as an employee or even having your own business. Whether or not it is work in the field, it is being able to think in a way that your mind doesn't get in the way, but your thoughts are so at one with your mind and with your heart that all you have to do is see what you want and automatically find yourself in a situation that will put you in that higher level. Not letting the thoughts that are generated within your head that are coming from situations that you find yourself in become an obstacle, but being present and understanding how you can let the spirit work through you, your own spirit connected to your higher nature that is connected with what we call God, Ntr, Netter, and the ancestors, how to allow that energy to flow and work through you and become the vessel of Herakuty. So, one thing that you might want to consider is you can make a list, maybe three main obstacles, and come up with a battle plan and tackle each and every one of them. Because when you write things down, what happens is that your mind will try to figure things out. Even when it comes to writing down your goals, writing down your vices and how to overcome those vices, until you take that piece of paper or whatever you write it on and you burn it. And then you take another list of things that you would like to achieve and you write that down. And what you will discover is that your mind, your brain will figure out the things that need to be done in order for you to get there. Because what you're doing is you're taking your thoughts and you're putting them in the physical plane on a piece of paper or on the vision board. But you are reminding yourself and you're bringing heaven to earth. You're taking that which is in the subtle realms and bringing that into the objective realms, from the subjective to the objective. All right, sisters and brothers, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. It was great talking to you once again, your brother Kepra. Be sure to check out some more of my videos on my YouTube page. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I'm out. Uncle Jasaneb Hatepu.